Two young missionaries, armed with faith and hope, step into a quiet town to spread their message. But what begins as a simple mission soon spirals into a nightmare they could never have imagined. A seemingly kind old man, a house filled with secrets, and a chilling revelation that will shake their beliefs to the core. What happens when faith is tested by darkness? When the line between reality and illusion blurs? And when the only way out is to confront the unthinkable? This is not just a story of survival. It's a descent into a world where nothing is as it seemed, and every choice could be your last. So, are you ready to uncover the truth? Or will you, too, fall victim to the shadows? Let's begin. The movie opens as we meet two Mormon missionary girls, Sister Paxton and Sister Barnes. They are on a mission to preach their faith and convert as many individuals as possible. Paxton is frightened since she has not been able to convert a single person throughout her tenure as a missionary. However, Barnes appears more assured. She has already converted 8 people. The two young women go about town trying to spread their message, but nobody wants to hear them. Sometime later, it begins to rain, and the two go over their list of people to visit. They soon arrive at the home of a man who had shown prior interest in the Mormon religion. After locking their bikes outside, they knock on the door, which Mr. Reed, an elderly man, answers. He warmly greets them, and Paxton begins to recite the speech she has memorized. After noticing the rain, Reed welcomes them into his house, claiming his wife is inside. Upon entering, the girls deliver their rain-soaked outerwear to the old man. Reed leaves them in the living room and goes to the kitchen, returning with 2 sodas and a candle. He admits that his wife is quite shy and is baking blueberry pie in the kitchen. The girls, who smell the pie, say she should join them. Reed promises she will come soon. He then inquires about their personal lives, and they answer cheerfully. Paxton even confesses that she wishes to be reincarnated as a butterfly to follow around the people she loves. However, the old man makes an awkward inquiry about their thoughts on polygamy. The girls are opposed, but Reed asserts that Joseph Smith, the founder of Mormonism, had several sexual connections with women, leading to polygamy. Reed argues that the core of this religion is based on brainwashing. Barnes asks Reed about his wife, and he promises to find her. While he's gone, Barnes checks the lit candle and is surprised to notice the scent of blueberry pie emanating from the living room, not the kitchen. Before she can tell Paxton, Reed returns and requests they follow him to meet his wife. But before they enter, Barnes pretends to receive a phone call from her superior, so Reed gives them some time. Barnes then anxiously tells Paxton that they should leave. She senses something odd about the man. The two proceed to the front door but soon remember that the key to their bicycles is in Barnes's coat. Regardless, they attempt to unlock the main door, but it is also locked. No matter their efforts, they cannot open it. The girls also try to call someone from the church, but there's no signal. At this moment, the lights suddenly go off, and with no choice, the girls seek Reed's assistance. They proceed along a dark hallway and soon arrive at a study area with 2 further doors, where they discover the old man. The girls report that their superior called them to return to church. Hearing this, Reed gladly releases them and returns their coat. However, the girls are surprised to find the bicycle key in Paxton's pocket, not Barnes's. They depart and request the old man to open the front door. However, he suddenly discloses that the locks are timed and won't unlock until the next morning. The only exit is through a back door. The girls are now overwhelmed with horror and are unsure about what to do. Reed abruptly advises them not to lie, despite the fact that no one called them. He reveals that the house has a metal roof and walls, which stops any network signal. Frustrated, Barnes points at the 2 doors and asks which one leads outside, but Reed gives no clear answer. Paxton urges him to bring his wife, suggesting she can accompany them on the way out. Reed responds that they had observed the fragrance candle and no oven with a pie. However, they still believe in God and his wife, only because it was ingrained in them from childhood. Both girls are profoundly frightened upon hearing this. Barnes opens the study room's 2 doors, but unfortunately, both lead to a gloomy cellar, not outside. At the Mormon church, Preacher Kennedy is set to retire. When he checks the daily log, Barnes and Paxton remain absent, and his worries grow. Back at the house, the creepy man discusses his beliefs on several religions. His explanation reveals that the major monotheistic religions, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and Mormonism, all derive from the same source material in various forms. Reed claims that Judaism is the original source of all religion. Later, Reed writes belief and disbelief on 2 doors and asks the girls to choose one to leave. Paxton attempts disbelief, but Barnes refuses to let them go. Regardless of the choice, they decide to enter the believing door instead. Reed's absence is questioned, but he closes the door. The girls arrive at a dark basement with only a table and fold-out chair set up. Barnes reaches for a high window by setting the chair on top of the table. After hearing the door above the stairs open, the furniture is immediately put back. Barnes gives Paxton a letter opener from Reed's study, instructing her to use it on the man if he attempts to hurt them. When someone arrives in the basement, they mistake it for Reed. Instead, it's a barefoot woman in a filthy robe, appearing old and worn out. After placing a pie on the table, the woman convulses on the floor without speaking. Reed starts talking to the girls via the basement speakers. He explains that this woman is a prophet of God, and today, they are going to witness a miracle. Soon, the woman begins eating the pie, and Reed reveals that it is poisoned and she will die soon. The girls are astonished, but Reed informs them that the woman will soon be revived owing to the power of God. In horror, Barnes and Paxton witness the woman collapse and die. Reed then orders an examination of her condition. The girls carefully check her pulse and respiration, concluding she has died. However, Reed is extremely hopeful that she will return soon and will tell them what she saw in the afterlife. At this moment, the doorbell suddenly rings, and Reed goes to answer the door. Following the man's departure, the girls scream loudly, but their cries do not reach the door. Outside the home, Kennedy stands in the snowstorm. He inquires about the church girls who were supposed to visit him, but the old man responds that he hasn't seen them and that they didn't show up at his place. Meanwhile, the girls peer through the small opening beneath the locked basement door and spot a matchbox on the rug. They burn the rug to wake up the minister. Outside, Mr. Kennedy apologizes for bothering Reed and leaves as Reed watches. Back in the basement, the girls manage to reach the matchbox. As they descend the stairs, Paxton observes the woman's body shifting slightly. Barnes disregards her and focuses on lighting the matches. Suddenly, the dead woman appears and throws up. She describes what she witnessed on the other side, finishing with the phrase, "It's not real." Reed arrives in the basement and drags her away from the girl. The speaker informs them that the words they heard are sacred and will be recorded in holy book. Reed suggests to the girls that they can also die and journey beyond life. He promises to provide comprehensive answers to all human existence mysteries. However, Barnes argues that what the woman saw was a near-death experience caused by hallucination. She recalls getting sick as a child via food poisoning and being pronounced clinically dead. Before she eventually came back to life, she saw all the woman had recounted at that point. She then gives Paxton the signal to launch the assault. However, Reed abruptly cuts Barnes's throat with a knife before Paxton can move forward. The sight terrifies Paxton, and she begins to frantically bang on the door, screaming for help. However, the old man calmly watches her and tells her not to be afraid. He asserts that Barnes, like the previous woman, will resurrect at any time. A few minutes later, the girl is still not reviving. Reed then removes a metal object from inside her by cutting open her right arm. He shows it to Paxton, claiming that it is a microchip, and that Barnes is not a real person but an application added to this simulation. Reed explains that this is why Barnes cannot be resurrected. He goes on to say that this world is a simulation, and that dying is the only way to enter the real world. He urges Paxton to end her life. However, Paxton suspects that the metal object is actually a birth control implant. She then begins to explain how the entire resurrection thing was just a ruse created by Reed. As an astute observer, Paxton notes that while they were distracted by the minister's arrival, a second woman who was dressed exactly like the one who had died appeared through a secret door. This woman took the dead one's place and recited a script written by Reed. However, the woman improvised a phrase that was not planned, saying, "It's not real." Consequently, Reed's killing of Barnes and his effort to convince Paxton of a virtual world are all improvised to cover up his failed plan. Following this, Paxton starts searching the basement for secret doors and ultimately locates one, which opens up another cellar. Reed cautions her against entering unless she is willing to discover the one true faith. Despite everything that has happened, the girl decides to proceed, as she wants to find out the truth. She then descends a shaft to the bottom, where she uncovers a woman's corpse, proving her theory right. During this, Reed shuts the door, and Paxton uses her cell phone's light to continue walking deeper. As she begins to explore the tunnel, she discovers numerous chambers and doors filled with occult symbols and signs of satanic practices. She soon finds the key to a door that has been secured with their bicycle padlock in her pocket. After unlocking the door, she is horrified to discover a chilly storage room with frail women confined in tiny cages. At this moment, Reed arrives and asks Paxton if she realizes what the one true religion really is. In answer, Paxton reveals that when he left them alone in the living room, he walked outside to retrieve their bicycles to ensure they wouldn't be found if someone came looking for them. They also thought he had put the key in the wrong pocket, but he did so on purpose because he planned every step to bring her to her current position. Paxton confesses that she didn't choose to be here. She is only standing there at this moment because it is precisely where he wants her to be. As a result, she has at last found control, the only real religion. Upon hearing this, the old man is impressed and concedes that she is right. He claims that none of these women are here against their will. Instead, they have arrived at this point as a result of their own convictions and choices. He then punishes the woman for deviating from the script by cutting one of her fingers. Paxton is moved to tears by the sight, and when the psycho begins yapping about religions, she seizes the opportunity to stab him with the letter opener Barnes gave her earlier. Paxton dashes through the underground corridors, climbing a staircase until she arrives in the study space. She barricades barricades the door with a table but quickly discovers that the house's doors are all locked. In the end, she concludes that the only way out is to go downstairs and find an exit, but sadly, as soon as Paxton reaches the basement, Reed stabs her in the stomach. Both of them fall to the ground, hurt. Reed, with his last remaining strength, asks her to pray for them. Paxton says that praying won't alter anything, but she acknowledges that being polite and considerate of others has a certain beauty. Following this, she ultimately begins to pray, and Reed sobs as he crawls across the floor and rests on her chest. Here, Reed raises his knife to finish her, but then someone pierces his head with a wooden plank with nail. It turns out to be Barnes, who is still alive and has managed to murder the nasty monster. Unfortunately, though, she too passes out in her friend's arms. In the aftermath of this incident, Paxton crawls upstairs and comes across a prototype of the place. She studies it and discovers an escape route through an air vent. Paxton goes through it and finally leaves the terrible mansion after hours of torment. A butterfly lands on her palm while she is strolling through the forest. This reminds Paxton of a wish she made. She would return as a butterfly and land on her loved one's palm if she were to reincarnate. It then vanishes, leaving Paxton alone in the icy wilderness. And so, the nightmare ends, or does it? Paxton's journey through the darkness has left her forever changed. But what about the secret buried in that house? The women trapped in the cages? And the chilling truth about control? Some mysteries are better left unsolved. Or are they? What would you have done in her place? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more spine-chilling stories. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.